Bulking is hard, hard work. Welcome to the video, you guys. We're going to talk all about my muscle building phase. I want to fill you in on what's been going on and tell you kind of what I'm going to be doing moving forward, and then also want to take your questions that you submitted on Instagram, and I'll answer all of them. So first of all, to bring you up to speed, I have been in a muscle building phase for 2 months now, a little over 2 months. I'm just starting month 3. And I get asked a lot, why am I doing this? And a couple main reasons why I'm doing this. First is I want to build muscle. That's pretty much the obvious reason why anybody would get into this phase, is to build muscle, which is what I want to do. The second and maybe less obvious reason is I have never purposefully been in a muscle building phase ever. I have hung out in maintenance and I've built some muscle there. And you know, when you hang out in maintenance, invariably I'm in a surplus here and there. You know, just like when people tell me they're in a deficit for a year, well, they're not in a deficit every single day for a year. They float in and out of a deficit. We're all human. That's just kind of what happens. And so I've built muscle from being in maintenance, and I also built some muscle at the beginning from being in a deficit. That being said, I've never purposefully had a structured program to build muscle. And the thought of that makes me very uncomfortable. And that's my main drive for doing this. The fear of the scale going up is real for me. I have spent my entire life wanting the scale to go down. And so I really want to conquer that fear. And to be perfectly honest, the only way you are going to conquer any fear that you have is to hit it head on. And so that's what I'm doing. This is super uncomfortable for me. It has been from day one. It's getting better, but I want to conquer this fear. I want to experience it. I don't want to have this fear or this anxiety anymore. So I'm going to build some muscle, and I'm going to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the goal with this whole process. So what I've been doing so far with this building phase, I started a couple of months ago, decided I'm not going to track calories, and I want to put that out there first and foremost. It is something that I've chosen to do because I know what my maintenance food schedule will look like. I've been in maintenance for the better part of 2 years. So I know what that is. I don't track my maintenance calories either. I just know what I can eat to maintain my weight. I want to take that baseline and add to it in a slow and controlled manner, which is exactly what I've done. I started by picking 2 days during the week where I was going to add 150 to 200 calories-ish on those 2 days, so that by the end of the week, I am in a surplus of 300 to 400 calories over that week. Not per day, but just by the end of the week. What I found was, number one, that I became a little too full on those days because of what I was choosing to add as my extra calories. I chose to add like an oatmeal kind of concoction, which is great. I love oatmeal. The problem was it was making me too full, and I was not always consuming the rest of my calories. So I was kind of at a stalemate with all of that. So that was a problem. The other issue is, and related to that, is there wasn't enough calories. By the end of a week, I was still maintaining for a good amount of time. So I needed to increase that. So what I chose to do, I chose to switch it up a little bit. I am now adding calories 4 times a week, and I'm staying off of the solid carbs, and I'm starting to include some more fats so I can get some more calories without feeling quite so full. So now I am actually adding about 4 days a week, sometimes 5 actually. I'm close to 400 calories on those days. And I am doing it in the form of a shake. I call it my power shake, and it's a concoction. I'm going to show you here in a little bit how I make it and what it is. And again, it's one of these things where I'm not weighing and measuring every ingredient that goes into that shake, but I have a working knowledge of about how many calories it is, and it's going to be on average about 400 calories depending on what I actually put in that shake. The reason I like that for me is because liquid calories like that are going to fill me up, but temporarily. So I'm getting the extra calories, I have some fat in there, and I am not full for the rest of the day. So that's kind of the nutrition piece of this. And so far, that's been working really, really well. Really good. It's very thick. Probably could use a little bit more water in this one, but it's really, really good. The berries thicken this up a lot, and I can really taste the peanut butter. This had a good bit of peanut butter in it. So this is gonna fill me up temporarily, but not for the rest of the day, which is great. And I had put in, it was about 1.5 scoops of protein powder. Sometimes I've gone as much as 2 scoops. So full of protein as well. So this is really, really good. Okay, the biggest challenges I've had so far in this challenge. The first one is eating when I'm not hungry. That was a struggle, especially at the beginning when I didn't have the right combo of foods on board and I was too full, and then I had to eat when I wasn't hungry because I worked so long and so hard to try and listen to hunger cues and not eat when I wasn't hungry, and now I was having to do just the opposite. That was a big struggle. That has gotten much better as I have manipulated what I'm eating. That has helped significantly. My other biggest struggle is using the I'm feeling full, or actually using the excuse of seeing the scale go up as my reason that I'm not eating. So translated, I guess that means if the scale starts going up, subconsciously I am saying, I'm not hungry, I'm not gonna eat anything, because I don't want the scale to keep going up. It's one of these almost survival tactics. I don't want the scale to go up, so I'm going to not eat what I'm supposed to eat because I don't want to see it go up anymore. And basically I was listening to my own bullshit. I was using that as a reason not to do what I was supposed to do. And I am aware of that, and I am not falling for that anymore, if that makes sense. I am not listening to that as an excuse. I am consuming what I'm supposed to consume every single day. That has gotten much, much, much better. So a couple observations I've had and a couple things that I've had to deal with. I've been, like I said, I've been trying my whole life to get the scale to go down or maintain. So obviously seeing the scale slowly go up has been a mindfuck like nothing else. And I am getting better with that. So that's great. I had a significant weight spike twice so far in this. Once was back in October when I had just gotten back from New York City. I knew I was gonna have a spike then because we ate that trip. We ate really, really well. The spike happened it was a little delayed. It was a day later than what I thought it was going to be, but when it showed up, I was knocking on the door of the goal weight that I had set out for the end of month 4. That was frightening to me, even though I knew this was gonna happen. And logically, I knew it was going to come back down and settle in, which it did. A little longer than what I thought it was gonna take, but it did. That was a huge pivotal moment for me not to freak out and say, hold back calories and change everything, what I was doing to bring that weight back down. I stayed the course, I consumed what I was supposed to consume, and lo and behold, yes, it came down. I actually had a similar weight spike last night, or this morning when I hopped on the scale. That freaked me out too this morning. I'm not gonna lie, my instant reaction was, but I know what's gonna happen. It will come down again as well. And so today I'm gonna consume what I'm supposed to consume and just keep going. Is it comfortable? No, it's not comfortable, but it's getting easier to deal with, and I am not allowing my emotions to determine what I do next. That's a huge change in this whole process for me. I would have done that maybe at the beginning, but I'm not doing that now. So I want to also mention that Jordan and I did a podcast that not too long ago, and I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can go listen to it. the reason I want you to listen to it is because we talk about this muscle building phase, and the conversation took a turn that we weren't expecting, but we went with it, and it was actually fantastic because he walks me through how I could make adjustments in my nutrition to make this process a little bit more efficient for me. And I would love for you to listen to that. In that conversation, we set a goal weight for me. The goal weight has really helped me rein things in and have a target to shoot for. The goal weight is 132. I started this at 128. So the goal after 4 months is to get to 132. A pound a month average is what I'm trying to build. And at the end of month 2, I was exactly 2 pounds up. I'm a little bit more than that right now, and that will come back down a little bit. So my point is, what's really interesting here is the scale fluctuation when you're building muscle is as crazy as it is when you try to lose fat, or even when you're trying to maintain. My scale weight has been all over the place. I have eaten exactly normal and the scale has gone down. I have eaten normal and the scale has spiked. It's crazy. But the point with this and with a fat loss journey is you just keep going. Comparing numbers day to day is not the ticket. It is comparing them over time, and it's easy to get sucked into the day to day, but you're looking for trends over time, and my trend over time has been up, which is what we want to see. Fat loss, you want your trend over time to be down. So again, it's a great lesson in not looking at the day-to-day, the jagged points, the ups and downs, but being patient and keeping with the process, and then evaluating at the end of a month and comparing month to month and seeing where your trend is. Applies to this journey just like fat loss. Okay, regarding my workouts have been actually amazing the last 2 months. I have had one bad workout, which happened yesterday, actually. No energy. I had been traveling, lack of sleep, a lot of the perfect storm kind of brewing for that workout. I feel a million times better today, and we're gonna be heading to the gym here in a minute. I am assuming that my workout today will be 10 times better than it was yesterday. But overall, I notice increased energy in the gym. My strength has gone up. This is significant, by the way. The last 2 months, I have increased weight on every single lift I have over the past month. It's some very little, some fairly significant. And I have more energy on board. So that the difference in energy level is significant when working on strength and building muscle in the gym. Okay, so I put a question box up on Instagram asking you guys for specific questions you may have regarding this whole muscle building process, and I've pulled a bunch. So let's go through some of those questions now. Someone wanted to know my height and starting weight and my current weight. So I'm about 5 feet 6 inches tall. I started this at 128 pounds, and as of yesterday, this morning, I was 131 pounds. That was with a spike. I think that will settle in probably down to 130, and some change is probably where I'm really gonna settle in at. But generally, I'm in month 3 and I'm 2.5-ish pounds up. Was asked, will I go back into maintenance or go into a cut when this is over? And I will probably just hang in maintenance. I'm not going to do a cut. I kind of like what's happening. I see the changes. I like the look. I like how I feel, most importantly. So I think I'm gonna stay in maintenance, and my maintenance will be slightly adjusted now as a result, but not by a lot, but enough. So that's where I think I'm gonna hang out for a while. The next question. To obtain the muscles that I already had I done an increase before? And the answer is purposefully no, I had not. I had been in maintenance, built some muscle there, and I built some muscle a while ago in a deficit, but never with a purposeful increase in calories. So I have not done it this way before. Why am I not tracking? I got asked that several times. The honest answer is because I don't want to. I don't need to. I have tracked long enough to know what I can eat to maintain my weight. And that's super important to understand. I'm not guessing at this. I know what I can eat. I know the portion sizes. I know what needs to happen for me to maintain my weight. That's my baseline. I'm just adding from that. So if you know your baseline at a deficit and you want to get to maintenance, it's the same principle. You just add from there. and I know my maintenance, so I'm adding from that. Because I think that, here's the deal. We don't want to have to track forever. I mean, the goal is to not have to track. And so that's where I am, not tracking. And on top of that, I don't care enough about this to weigh and measure every little thing. I'm not trying to compete in a show. I'm not trying to achieve certain muscle size. I am just doing this for personal growth and just to build some general muscle. So for all of those reasons, I'm not tracking. I know what I know about how many calories I'm doing, and that's kind of what's working for me right now. Do I recommend everyone do it this way? Absolutely not. If you don't have a good background with tracking and weighing and measuring food and understanding what works for you, then I would not recommend doing it this way at all. It's more of an intuitive approach, which works because of the background I come from. But if you have been struggling to maintain or struggling to hit your numbers or struggling to lose fat, whatever it is, I suggest you track everything. It'll make it easier for you. But if you have a lot of experience and you know what works for you, you could try it intuitively as well. But the important thing to remember is you need to really know what works for you. And so that's why I'm not tracking. The next question, how can I build muscle with the least amount of fat gain? And the answer to that is you do it exactly how I'm doing it. I am controlling my calories per week, started conservatively, and started adding little bit by little bit. That's how you can control that. If you start plopping in a ton of calories every single day, you're going to feel out of control, and it could get out of control. So be patient, do it slowly and conservatively like this, and I think you're gonna find you will be gaining the least amount of fat. But understand that you have to gain fat too. That's good, that's part of what's happening. But it won't be outrageous. It's not gonna be what we think it is. And in fact, I wanna add this. I used to think being in a surplus was feeding frenzy time, eat, get fat like an Oompa Loompa, and then get really strong, and then have to dial it all back and lose it. That's not what a surplus has to be. I'm learning that, I'm experiencing that. Controlled addition of calories from a baseline, and you will see a tremendous difference. The next question, when will I see a visible difference? I already have. I'm gonna have Dan put the side-by-side right about here. And that side-by-side is, I think the first picture was back in August, and the second one was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So there's a significant difference. I filled out, and I would like to add that before, this probably would have bothered me. My head was not in the right space, but I love the look now. I see definite definitions in muscle all over the place. And like I said before, strength has increased tremendously. So you can see differences fairly quickly, I think, if you add everything in at good rates and you're working hard in the gym. And I think the gym piece is super, super important to this as well. But you can look at the side-by-side and see a significant difference in just a few months. Okay, so the next question, how do you build muscle without gaining fat? You know, you really don't. I mean, if you're truly in a muscle building phase, the scale's gonna go up. Some of that's gonna be fat, but it's not gonna be significant. And like I was saying previously, I think in our heads, we imagine us getting ginormous, like these, you know, fat Oompa Loompa characters, and that's not how it is. So a slow and controlled addition of calories from a maintenance baseline, you're gonna be fine. But understand that some fat is part of what's happening. So that's okay. It's not significant. And if you do it right, you're gonna see nothing but muscle. My biggest mental hurdle so far, I think just seeing the scale go up is super hard. I mean, someone my age, I'm 59, and for my whole life, I was trying to get the scale to go down or maintain. And that's huge to accept that I am purposefully going the other direction. That's been super hard. And then the other piece that's been super hard is eating when I'm not hungry. That was really hard during the first month. And once I ironed out all the foods that I was eating and figured out what worked for me, that's gotten substantially better. But that was hard as well. But honestly, just watching the scale go up after a lifetime of trying to get it to go down, that's getting better. I think those voices are going to be in my head always, but I think how I handle it is what's improving. Like I am not allowing the emotion that's attached to that to determine what I do next. I had to fight that month one big time, but not so much anymore because I understand what's going on and I'm getting used to it. And I also want to add that is facing this fear head on. That's how we conquer fears. This is super uncomfortable for me, by the way, but I'm facing it head on. I am not stopping. I could have stopped after week 2 when this was really uncomfortable. I didn't. I kept going, and that's what you have to do. Whether it's stepping on the scale is something that you don't like to do, or it's adding calories and making the scale go up, like me, that's something that you think is bad or whatever. You want to conquer that fear. You have to tackle it head on, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this. Moving from fat loss to muscle building, how do you know when to do that? And that's a great question, but the best answer to this is you decide that. You decide when you want to start building muscle. You do that whenever you are happy with how you look and how you feel. So whenever that is, that's when you can start slowly adding your calories back in until you get into a surplus. So there's no timeline. There's no rule book that says you have to be in a fat loss phase for a certain amount of time before you can proceed to muscle building. It's not at all. It's totally up to you. Whenever you feel like you look like you want to look and feel like you want to feel, then it's time. And you can do the same process by adding calories in a couple times a week conservatively and start adding and adding and adding. And if you're coming from a deficit, just understand you're going to be adding more per week than if you were coming from maintenance. It's going to be a little bit longer of a time for you to get up to a surplus, but the strategy is the same. Okay, so the next question, what happens to my body after this phase? That's a great question. My goal is to stick with this process through 4 months, which will take me to the first of the year. And my goal target weight was 132 at the end of 4 months, 1 pound per month, give or take. I think I'm going to extend that a little bit longer just because it took me half the time to get into a rhythm with this. And so I want to give the actual process itself a little bit more time. So I may add another month onto that. After that, I will probably change it up a little bit and go 1 week in a surplus, 1 week in maintenance, 1 week in a surplus, 1 week in maintenance. And the reason for that is it will kind of dial me back a little bit. I'll still be in a slight surplus, going to be slower. The process is going to not move quite as fast, which is fine. It's going to give me a chance to still feel the energy and still reap some of the benefits, but just slowly work my way back down to maintenance again. I don't plan on going into a cut. I kind of like the muscular look. I like looking filled out, which is very different. I think years ago I would have thought that looks not so good. I love it now. So I think I want to hang up here for a while, or maybe forever, I kind of like it. So my goal is just to kind of slow the process down a little bit and then eventually just hang out in maintenance and continue to build strength and build some more muscle. And then here's a great question. Did I increase protein or all of my macros? And I am keeping, my protein levels are probably about the same. They may be a smidge higher. My fats are definitely a little higher just because I've brought peanut butter back into my life now, which is never going to go away again, by the way. It's just not, because it's been so good to have peanut butter. And I never had anything against peanut butter, by the way. It just kind of left my life for a while. I would have it randomly, but now it's back regularly and I really like it. So my fats have gone up, carbs have gone up a little bit, but I'm not purposefully saying, I want this to go up, I want this to go up. I have included more carbs. That has been purposeful, and the fats have been purposeful, but I'm not weighing and measuring and figuring out exactly how much more. I've noticed that I am increasing both of those. Protein has stayed about the same. So we are going to head over to the gym right now, and I have a leg day on tap today. So we'll see you over at the gym.
so I just finished a great leg workout. And by the way, this particular leg workout, only 5 things on there, probably all of my favorite things. Deadlifts, single leg deadlifts, and Bulgarian split squats and cable pull-throughs. I love all of those, so I love this day. Great leg workout. Sitting outside here today, by the way, and the temperature is up in the 60s again. It is gorgeous outside, so I'll be going for a walk later for sure. But I'm gonna go home and have a meal, and I wanna fill you in on the rest of what I eat. So in the morning, what we didn't show you, though you've seen before, is my oatmeal concoction of oats, protein powder, some Greek yogurt, some frozen berries, and a sprinkling of cereal on the top. I'm gonna have Dan put a picture of it here. I eat that a lot. That is one of my favorite things to eat. For lunch, I'm gonna have a big ass salad. This is gonna be kind of an Asian salad mix. It's a mix, it's like a kit. And so it has Asian, like cabbage and things like that, and I'll be adding a crap ton of chicken. It's gonna look a lot like this up here. And then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna keep it really basic. I'm probably gonna do some turkey or chicken, along with I have a lot of sweet potatoes, so I wanna use those up, and probably a bag of steamable vegetables. Gonna look a little bit like this. So you add all of that up along with the shake that I showed you earlier, and that's a typical day with the extra calories on board from me. So if you have any more questions about this bulking phase I'm going through, or just about building muscle in general, please just send me a message. I'd be happy to talk with you and let you know whatever it is you need to know. So while you're here on YouTube, click subscribe. We would really appreciate this, and let us know if you have any questions. You can put them in the comments below. We're gonna be back real soon. I have a bunch of tutorials lined up ready to film, so be on the lookout for some of those. And again, as always, if you have any requests for anything that you would like to see a tutorial on, please let us know. Thank you for being here. Have a great day.